Have you ever been rejected by someone and then had the chance to come back stronger than ever? This is the story of Livia Torres, a woman who walked into a job interview believing in a new beginning, but walked out humiliated, treated as if she was worth nothing. Days later, fate decided to return everything, with interest, because the very company that rejected her already belonged to her. But what happened after she came back will give you chills. Before we begin, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell, and leave a like, because here, every story proves that power isn't always in the hands of those who seem to have it. Now, turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready to meet the woman who was humiliated and came back owning the game. The rain fell in a fine veil against the glass facade of Avalon Corporation, distorting the reflection of the city that never sleeps. The rhythmic patter of drops on the ground seemed to sync with Livia Torres's racing heartbeat. As she checked her watch for the third time in less than a minute, she had arrived early. Very early. She was the kind of person who believed punctuality was a form of respect and hope. She clutched a black folder to her chest, as if everything she needed to be reborn was inside it. Resume, certificate, letters of recommendation, proof that she was capable, that she deserved another chance. But no one at reception seemed to care. The atmosphere was cold, modern, impersonal. Every few seconds, the sound of keyboards broke the silence. A receptionist didn't even lift her eyes to greet her. Everything at Avalon screamed one word: power. When the clock struck 9:30, a tall woman appeared in the hallway. Blonde hair in a flawless bun, an expensive blazer, and a cutting gaze. "Livia Torres?" she asked without a smile. Livia stood quickly. "That's me. Nice to meet you." "Follow me, please. I'm Marina, Human Resources Manager." The tone was professional, but there was something in between the lines, a certain superiority that Livia felt from the first second. The interview room was spacious, with a glass table and 3 interviewers. One was on his phone, another flipped through papers without paying attention. Marina sat and crossed her legs, giving a head-to-toe look. "So, Livia, I see you've been out of the job market for 2 years. Can you explain why?" "Yes, of course. I worked at a consulting firm and ended up leaving after reporting irregular practices by one of the directors. After that, it was hard to find new opportunities." One of the men chuckled discreetly. Marina pretended to take notes. "I see. But tell me, what makes you think you'd fit in here?" "Avalon is a high-performance company. Our standards are demanding." Livia took a deep breath. "I believe my experience and adaptability can contribute to the team's growth. I learn quickly and work well under pressure." Silence. Marina tapped the pen against her lips and answered with a faint smile. "Learns quickly. But do you really think you have the profile we're looking for? Here we value posture, presence, and honestly, your resume is ordinary." The words fell like invisible blades. Livia tried to keep her composure, but felt her face burn. "I understand, but—" "Thank you, Livia. I think we have what we need." She was cut off before finishing the sentence. Marina was already looking at the next file. "Good luck in your next attempts." Livia stood up slowly. Each step to the door felt heavier than the last. In the hallway, the sense of humiliation wrapped around her like a cloak. Outside, the rain thickened. She left the building without looking back, but the words echoed in her mind, like a cruel mantra. "You don't have the profile. Your resume is ordinary." The city seemed to mock her. The lights, the cars, the towering buildings, everything reminded her how small she was in that world that had rejected her. She sat on a concrete bench, watching people hurry by with umbrellas. For a moment she wanted to give up, to believe that maybe the problem was her. But then something inside her shifted. A spark, a silent whisper that said, "This doesn't end here." Livia took a deep breath, stood up, and walked in the opposite direction of the crowd. She didn't know it yet, but that would be the last day anyone made her feel small. That same night, when she got home, she found a sealed envelope on the table, a document bearing Avalon's crest. She opened it, confused, and what she read made her entire body tremble. "We inform you of the passing of Mr. Augusto Torres and hereby notify that, as sole heir, Mrs. Livia Torres becomes the majority owner of Averon Corporation. The paper shook in her hands. The company that had humiliated her now belonged to her. But what Livia would do with that power, no one could predict. And what would come next would be the beginning of a cold, silent, and utterly inevitable revenge. The envelope was still on the table when the apartment's silence seemed to gain weight. The rain, once a distant noise, now sounded like an impatient clock against the windowsill. Livia reread every line, every comma, searching for a mistake, a forged signature, anything that could deny the absurdity before her. Averon Corporation, the very company that had rejected her, was hers. The name at the bottom burned more than the ink. Augusto Torres, her biological father, a man she'd never spoken to, never hugged, never remembered beyond a faded photo in a drawer. Her mother spoke of him in half-light and pauses. A powerful man, but complicated. A man who couldn't stay. A man who promised to return. He never returned. With trembling hands, Livia called the number in the letter. A firm female voice answered. "Dr. Selina Albuquerque," she introduced herself. "This concerns inheritance, succession, and asset transfer. You need to hear everything in person. There are specific clauses." The pause before that last word carried a secret. Livia didn't sleep that night. She sat on the floor beside the open envelope, a wound on the carpet. Her body begged for rest, but her mind wove questions. Why now? Why her? What did it mean to inherit what once crushed her? And above all, who was Augusto Torres beyond the smiling photographs? The next morning, the elevator in Selina's office building rose like a buried secret. The room smelled of coffee and paper. A black and white photo of an old building hung on the wall. Averon's first headquarters, perhaps. Selina greeted her with firm calm. "I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Torres." "Loss?" Livia bit the word. "I had nothing to lose. He was never there." Selina didn't flinch. She opened a folder of documents and inserted a flash drive into a recorder. "Your father left instructions. Part of his will was recorded in video and audio." The click of the button sounded like the start of a film you fear to watch. On screen, a man in a charcoal suit, gray hair, tired eyes, filled the room. "If you're seeing this, Livia, time has come to collect what I owe. I should have gone to you. Explained why I chose absence. Every choice has a cost. I chose the wrong one. Averon isn't what it seems. I built an empire with people I trusted. Then shadows with badges took it over. Laundering, empty contracts, invisible blood. When I pulled the thread, the skein came back with a knife. I left you what is yours by right. The largest share of the company. Not as a gift, but because only you can clear my name, and maybe your own. They'll try to discredit you, ridicule you, push you out the same door they used on me. Trust few, sign even less. Find the file called Arcano. It's hidden in a vault only you can open. Inside are names, dates, money flows, and the reason someone at Averon wants you gone." The video ended in silence. No farewell, no "I love you." Only a riddle passed on as inheritance. Selina slid a small brown envelope toward her, a cold metal key and a coded card. "Your father was cautious," Selina said softly. "You'll be majority shareholder once we file the transfer today. The board's been notified. Some will try to delay the process, to take you off the board." "And Marina?" The name escaped her lips. "HR manager. She treated me like I was nothing." "In a company full of shadows, no one is only what their title says," Selina replied. "If he mentioned Arcano, there's a circle within the circle. People who operate in corridors, not reports." Livia exhaled years of silence. "Register everything. Do what's needed. I'll take over." Hours followed. Signatures, authorizations, digital seals. Each pen stroke ended a chapter of humiliation. She, the rejected one, now bore the name at the top. But victory tasted of iron, not sweetness. By late afternoon, she stood in a private bank room. The vault opened with the sound of destiny. Inside, a black folder, a flash drive, a notebook written in her father's hand. diagrams of shell companies, transfers to ghost consultancies, fake foundations, inflated projects, and beneath a clip, a name, Marina D. Carvalho. The shock wasn't surprise. It was confirmation. Marina wasn't random. She was part of the hidden network. Under her name, Nucleo D. Dates, floors, secret meetings. The 32nd floor, underlined twice. The executive floor, the floor of power. Livia closed her eyes and saw it. The interview room, the smirk, the line. Your resume is ordinary. What they'd done to her wasn't disdain. It was prevention. They'd kept her away so she'd never touch the wire now burning in her hands. At the bottom of a page, a note in her father's handwriting. When they open the door, pretend you don't know. Enter like a ghost. The ghost of someone they couldn't bury. Outside, the sky grew heavy again. She walked with the folder pressed to her chest. No longer a candidate, but a force. Air. Threat. The line that returns to cut. In the taxi, she outlined the plan. Formalize control, summon the board, expose the light, and mirror the Arcano files to external servers. Accidents wouldn't happen this time. Finally, return to Avaron. Not to ask for work, to open doors and settle debts. Her phone vibrated. A message from an unknown number. You shouldn't have opened the box. Another ping. Some inheritances come with a price, Mrs. Torres. Fear is a trained dog. It bites if you run. She wouldn't run. No sender. No reply. Just a warning. Someone was watching. At home, she opened the flash drive. A hidden folder. Presence does not define destiny. Inside. Avaron security footage. After-hours meetings. Covered faces. Silent transactions. And one clear image. Marina entering the 32nd floor at 2:17 a.m. Two directors by her side. Lights off. Phone glow on eyes that no longer pretended. Livia closed the laptop. The apartment felt smaller, walls closing in to listen. In the dark, she whispered. To no one, and to everyone. Thank you for the gift, Dad. I'll finish what you started. Before dawn, she called Selena. Schedule the session. I want the board at 6 p.m. tomorrow. I don't want lights, Livia said. I want to see who runs when they come on. That'll turn on lights you may not want to face, Selena warned. Outside, the city breathed heavy. Inside, something ancient awoke. Not hate, not justice. Method. The cold certainty that some doors don't open with keys. They're forced open with the right name. And now she had the name. But what awaited her behind Avaron's glass doors will leave you in shock. The sun didn't seem to rise that day, only hide behind a thick mist. Everything felt slower, grayer, colder. Livia Torres looked at her reflection and barely recognized the woman staring back. Hair once loose, now tied in a firm bun. Makeup light but precise. A black suit, tailored to perfection. The nervous candidate from the interview was gone. In her place stood a figure radiating something new. Silent authority. As she clasped a discreet necklace, her phone vibrated. A message from Selena, the lawyer. The board has been summoned. Everyone confirmed attendance. They don't know it's you. Good luck, Mrs. Torres, she replied with one word. Perfect. The elevator descended slowly to the lobby. Each passing floor felt like another layer of the past left behind. She stepped into the car, took a breath, and whispered, Today I'm going home. The driver dropped her at Avaron Corporation's glass doors. The same doors that once closed in her face. The same that echoed hurried footsteps avoiding her eyes. Now the doors opened automatically, and every gaze turned toward her. Her heels struck the marble floor in steady rhythm. Each step louder than the receptionist's breaths, firmer than the tapping keyboards. Marina, the HR manager, stood near reception reviewing papers. She looked up, saw Livia, and froze for a second. You? She whispered, almost breathless. Livia smiled faintly. Good morning, Marina. Surprised to see me? What are you doing here? Taking back what's mine. Before Marina could reply, Selena appeared with two security guards and a man in a blue suit, the interim chairman. Gentlemen, this is Mrs. Livia Torres, legal heir and majority shareholder. The emergency board meeting will be held on the 32nd floor. A sacred silence filled the lobby. Everyone stopped. Some hid their shock behind nervous smiles. Others looked away. Livia crossed the hall without glancing back. The elevator rose slowly, mirrors reflecting the metallic gleam in her eyes. Outside, the city moved indifferently. Inside, each floor was a step deeper into her father's secrets. On the 32nd floor, a row of executives waited. Closed faces, suspicious eyes. The interim chairman stood. "Mrs. Torres, an unexpected turn." "The unexpected," she replied coolly, "keeps truth alive, Mr. Duarte." She walked to the head of the table, her father's old seat, the seat from which he'd been quietly removed. "Let's get straight to the point," she said, placing a folder down. "Averon is sick. I intend to find the parasites." A murmur swept the room. A bald director cut in. "With all respect, that's not how we do things here." She offered a thin, icy smile. "Then it's time to change how things are done." Selena distributed documents, records, suspicious contracts, pieces of the Arcano files, names, shell companies, exorbitant figures. Some faces turned pale, others hardened. "These papers are fake," Marina said, voice trembling. Livia fixed her gaze. "Fake? Interesting? Because I found your signature on 2 of them." Silence thickened. Words died in Marina's throat. "Project Nucleo D," Livia continued, each word measured. "Recognize it? You should. It's in my father's notes and on internal recordings. Cameras caught you at 2:17 a.m. on the 32nd floor with 2 directors. Lights off, contracts in hand." Whispers swelled. The chairman struck the desk for order. "That's a serious accusation, Mrs. Torres." "An accusation," she said, turning on the screen. "With proof." The video played. Silence deepened. Marina's color drained. One director lowered his eyes. When it ended, Livia spoke. Tone sharp, unwavering. "My father tried to expose this network. They silenced him. Now they're trying to silence me. But you forgot one thing. I have nothing left to lose." She gathered the papers, meeting each pair of eyes. "Today, Averon changes owners. Tomorrow, it changes its soul. Those who stay will learn loyalty. Those who won't can leave now." No one moved. Fear nailed them to their chairs. When the meeting ended, Livia left without looking back. In the hallway, Selena caught up to her. "You just started a war." "No," Livia said. "I opened the curtains. They chose the dark." In the parking garage, as the car descended, her phone buzzed. A message with no sender. "Nice presentation, Air. But what you saw today is only the beginning." She stared at the screen, heart steady, and typed back, "Then show me the rest." Outside, the wind blew hard, as if the whole city exhaled with her. Livia rested her head against the window and smiled. Not from joy, but from certainty. Now she knew. Every enemy in that company carried a secret, and she was ready to uncover them all. But what she didn't yet know was that the true enemy wasn't inside Averon. He waited, in the shadows of her father's past, and what was about to surface would change everything. Night fell heavy over the city, and Averon looked like a sleeping giant. Lights off, windows reflecting nothing. Inside, however, Livia Torres was still awake, seated in the same chair that had once belonged to her father. Before her lay stacks of documents, notes, and folders from the Arcano archive. Each page was a fragment of truth pulled from the shadows. The clock struck 2 in the morning when she finally found what she'd been looking for. A recording dated 3 months before Augusto Torres's death. A video without sound, only grainy images of a secret meeting. Her father was there, surrounded by 5 people, one of them unmistakably Marina. Her expression was cold, calculated, as she slid a contract across the table. Livia increased the monitor's brightness. In the corner of the screen, a logo flashed briefly. Nucleo D, Confidential Internal Project. The words echoed inside her head. Her father had tried to dismantle that project, and paid the price. She opened another file titled Preliminary Statement 09. Inside was a partial transcript of a recovered audio. They think money buys silence, but what they don't know is that silence also buys death. Marina doesn't work alone. There's someone above her. someone who controls everything from afar. If I disappear, it's because I touched what I shouldn't have. Livia leaned back in the chair, her stomach turned to ice. Marina wasn't the head. She was only the visible face of something much larger. And worse, the name of whoever controlled Aviron from the shadows had been erased, replaced by a string of encrypted letters. She stood and walked to the window. The city glowed below, indifferent to her discovery. But in every light she saw a sign, the same faint gleam that had once guided her father. "You tried to warn them, didn't you?" she whispered. But no one listened. A notification sound pulled her out of her trance. An email, no sender. Subject line, "You're opening the wrong door." The message contained only one sentence. "The same mistake your father made." Livia's heart quickened. She looked around, feeling watched. She walked to the door, locked it, and returned to the desk. But when she looked at the laptop again, a new file had appeared, flashing red. For her. She hesitated, then opened it. The video began with a dark room lit by a single hanging lamp. A man's voice, digitally altered, spoke. "You don't understand what you inherited, Livia. Your father wasn't a martyr. He was an accomplice who repented too late." Her breath faltered. "He created Nucleo D to expand Aviron without limits. Contracts, stock manipulation, bribes. When the scheme grew too large, he tried to back out, and we did what had to be done." Livia's eyes widened. "Now you're trying to clear his name. But his name is written in every crime we erased. What you call inheritance is nothing but a plea for forgiveness." The screen went black. A sound echoed, a mix of laughter and a metallic sigh. She froze. Her hands trembled. Her blood felt slower. Her father. Could he have built his own destruction? She sat again, breathing hard, flipping through Augusto's notebook. There, scribbled hastily, one line. "I tried to save the family name, but it was already rotten." Livia slammed the notebook shut. The sound echoed like a gunshot. That revelation changed everything. No heroes, no villains, only survivors and lies. Her father built the monster. Marina only kept it alive. Now she would destroy it, even if the Torres name fell with it. The desk phone rang. An internal number. She hesitated, then answered. Marina's cold voice. "Nice move today, Air. But be careful what you dig up. Sometimes the dead pull you down with them." The call disconnected. Livia stared at the phone in silence. Then she stood, gathered the papers, and left the office. In the dark halls, only her heels echoed. Outside, the wind howled. She walked through the empty streets with frightening clarity. It no longer mattered who started the rot, only who could end it. That night she made her final plan. Gather the evidence, call the press, expose Nucleo D to the world. But first she needed to face Marina. Eye to eye, no masks, no cameras. In the taxi's rearview mirror she saw her reflection. Cold, determined, merciless. "If my father opened the wrong door," she whispered, "I'll close it." From the inside. When she arrived home, the city was asleep. But something watched outside. A car at the corner, headlights off. A motionless figure behind the wheel. Livia pretended not to notice. She climbed the stairs, key in hand. Inside, her phone vibrated again. A message. No sender. "You're being followed." She turned off the lights and went to the window. The car was still there. The same chill that had killed her father crept up her spine. And she understood. The story wasn't over. What she discovered about Augusto Torres was only the first chapter. Because at Aviron, no one really dies. They just change sides. And her side now was the side of truth, even if it cost her everything. But what awaited her the next day would change not only Aviron's fate, but hers. Forever. The 32nd floor was almost entirely dark, as if Aviron had decided to save energy. On the very night when truth demanded light. In the corridor, motion sensors lit white lamps as Livia Torres advanced, the folder gripped in her hand like a sentence. At the council room door, 2 security guards waited. One of them, Noguera, dipped his head discreetly. A silent protection pact. She had sealed that afternoon. Inside, Marina was already waiting. The open window let the wind in, nudging the blinds and drawing barred shadows across the floor. The wall clock read 02:17, the very time the videos had recorded Marina there, contracts in hand. It was almost poetic that the ending and the beginning shared the same hour. "Punctual air," Marina said with a thin smile. "I've always admired your stubbornness. Shame it came too late." "Too late for whom?" Livia replied, not coming closer. "For your script? Or for my reckoning?" Marina tilted her head as if appraising a work of art, whose value had yet to be revealed. "Augusto created what you're trying to destroy. Do you really want to bury your father's name?" "I want to bury what killed my father." Livia set the folder on the glass table. "And if the name is rotten, it goes down with it." Before Marina could answer back, the side door opened. Duarte, the interim chairman of the board, entered. With careful steps, loosened tie, the posture of someone rehearsing indifference. His eyes, however, betrayed haste. "I didn't know we had a meeting," he said, forcing a smile. "The meeting is simple," Livia replied, turning slightly. "It's time to say who runs Nucleo D." A flicker passed across Duarte's face. Too quick for a layman. Too clear for anyone who'd learned to read masks. Marina didn't mask her irony. "You really think I'm the head, Livia? Me? An HR manager? I was logistics. A body needs hands, not crowns." Livia opened the folder. Inside were printed transaction maps, linking shell companies to padded contracts, and an organizational chart pulled from the Arcano file. At the top, a single letter, D. Below, 4 initials. To the right, a circle, Nucleo D. She projected the slide on the big screen. Duarte went still, a fraction outside of time. "D for Duarte," she said, voice level. "Your full name never appeared in the paperwork. Only in external emails, in front foundations, in elevator stops up here with no log. The nucleus was yours." Marina only moved the human chains. Duarte inhaled through his nose, slowly, as if measuring the room in meters of escape. "Circumstantial evidence, Mrs. Torres. You're rattled. Heirs often see ghosts in the dark." "Then listen to one of them," Livia said, clicking the remote. The screen showed a video from 3 weeks before Augusto's death. Clean audio, raw image. Duarte's unmistakable voice, negotiating compensation for contracts without execution. The word Arcano repeated like a password. A dry toast. A veiled threat. "If Augusto won't sign, we'll sign for him." Marina's face stayed impassive, but her arms folded. Duarte's mask cracked. "This was obtained illegally," he said at last. "Illegal is the content, not the capture," Livia shot back. "And since we're talking legality—" She took out her phone and set it on the table. A red icon flashed. "We're live, streaming to 3 mirror servers, 2 journalists, and a federal authority who owes me a favor. If anything happens to me, everything goes out uncut." Marina gave a short laugh, like a blade striking stone. "There's always a plan B, isn't there?" "Actually, I have C and D," Livia said. "And the D, you already know." The wind crossed the room. Somewhere a sign hummed. The world felt suspended, about to choose a direction. Noguera opened the door a sliver, awaiting her signal. "Let's negotiate," Duarte said at last, trading command voice for serpent honey. "You keep Averon's image clean. We erase the trails. Nobody loses. You walk out the heroine who saved the company, and we retire discreetly." "Retirement is a luxury," Livia answered. "And luxuries paid in blood, turned to stone in the pocket." Marina stepped closer, slow, her fingers marking the glass table. "You think you control the board because you have the pieces. But I know the squares. Want to see one?" She raised her phone, showing a plunging graph. "After hours. Rumor of a plea deal at Averon. The market smells fear. If you expose everything now, you destroy the company you inherited. Fines, lawsuits, mass layoffs. You become the heir who killed the legacy, not the one who cleaned it." The strike was technically precise. For every crime uncovered, a reputational time bomb. Livia felt the dilemma's point press her chest. Immediate truth versus effective justice. Expose now and punish the guilty, and the innocent with them. Hold 24 hours and stage a surgical operation. Silence is dangerous, but it's also strategy. You're right, she said at last, with a calm that chilled all three. Exposing it now would hurt people who don't deserve it. That's why I won't expose it now. Marina smiled, certain she'd won. Duarte leaned back, relieved. I'll expose it tomorrow at 6 p.m., with signed warrants, frozen accounts, preventive arrests, and protection for every clean team, Livia said. Enough to amputate the tumor, without killing the body. Duarte stepped forward, manners slipping. You can't do that in a day. I already did. She nodded toward Noguera, who entered with prosecutor Helena Sa and a federal agent. The live stream was bait. The operation's been in the field since 10 p.m. Your residences were searched at 1:40 a.m. Your passport? Blocked. Your accounts? Frozen. Duarte patted his pocket by reflex. Nothing. Noguera displayed on an acrylic tray, an encrypted drive and a corporate phone, both seized under court order. How? He stammered. You mistook elegance for naivete, the prosecutor said. Mrs. Torres provided enough evidence to move the timeline up. Now it's just procedure. Marina took 2 steps back, eyes sharp but no longer shining. You think you've won. But Augusto was one of us. You'll carry that forever. I'll carry the truth, Livia said. And the decision you'd never make, what to do with what remains. Helena read the warrants, clear, inexorable. Duarte didn't resist. Marina asked for a glass of water and fell silent. The clock showed 02:29 when both were let out. The corridor seemed to breathe. The room, emptied of threats, filled with the noise of Livia's thoughts. She walked to the window. The distant city was a field of constellations. She thought of her father, the man who built and corrupted, who backed down too late, who left her an inheritance and a debt. How do you put out a fire that's become part of the landscape? She started a conference call with communications, compliance, and outside counsel. Tomorrow at 6, a press conference. I'll read the report myself. Before that, an internal memo. Protection for uninvolved departments, a full forensic audit, and a reparation fund for affected vendors and employees. And one more thing. Aviron as we know it ends tonight. Silence on the line. Selena's voice came cautious. How ends? Total restructuring, name, board, culture. The brand my father raised and stained will be discontinued. In its place, transparent governance. If the Torres name is rotten, let another be born, with clean roots. She hung up and stayed at the glass a moment longer. The sun, very shy, sketched a rim of light. Night crossed into morning, the interval when shadows choose, to stay or flee. In the reflection, she saw herself. The humiliated candidate, the improbable heiress, the cold executor, and finally the guardian of what comes next. In the lobby, Noguera walked her to the elevator. It'll hurt a lot of good people, he said. Every cure hurts a little, she replied. But pain that cleans doesn't leave an ugly scar. The doors closed. They descended in silence. On the ground floor, a few guards traded curious glances without questions. Livia crossed the hall that had once denied her a greeting and pushed the glass door. Damp air touched her face. A light rain. She stepped out, then another, and stopped. She didn't know she had. She inhaled deeply. The smell of wet asphalt pulled childhood memories. With no audience, no fanfare, only the certainty of someone who crossed the fire and came out whole. She murmured to the city. Some doors closed to shame you. Others open to prove you. Mine I knocked down. Camera rises. The city wakes. Hard cut. Black screen. The end.